Lesson 3, trends and graphing. And we see some additional tools that helps our brains process what's going on. In terms of the tool itself, in trends, think time. So over time, we see how numbers change. They could be key numbers like revenues or profit, or it could be ratio, like gross profit margin or current ratio. So trends are comparison of a number of years, and we get to see progression and whether things are getting better or worse. Or if there are anomalies where there's a blip on the screen, we want to know that it's a blip and not a trend. Here are some examples of graphics for Intel that show us some trends. The first is we're looking at revenues and profits. That's the first graph here. And that line chart is a good way to see a measure over time. Next is an example of side by side. In this case, we did return on assets side by side to see the jump in 1 year to the next. Third is a group bar, which show us in the area of the CCC measures, days in inventory, are we getting better or worse? So we can see graphically from 18 to 17, it got a little worse. It took more time to sell. An average collection period from 17 to 18 got better. We were collecting faster, but the problem is here. Graphically, it's a lot easier to see than looking at the spreadsheet as we did a moment ago. So this one really focuses that if we really want to make a dent in our cash collection cycle, the way to do it is to address how long it takes us to sell inventory. So let's see Excel, and you can see how these graphs are done. We're in Excel now, and we have the raw data on the left, and all we need to do is shade the area. So let's shade this whole group, and we'll go Insert, Graph, or Charts, and we're looking for a line. So we go to All, and we want to look at line charts. And this one looks good because it shows over time the two measures in dollars. That's good. So let's select that one. So here we see that the graphing machine knew the years because we shaded it, knew the revenues and net income, and the red here is net income, or orange I guess, and the blue here is revenue, and it graphed it, right? And we can insert the title and just put revs and profit for 2016 to 2018, and that would be the graph title, right? So pretty easy to do, and it helps the eye. It shows us that we're improving our revenues pretty steadily, and we've actually done even a steeper improvement in profit. That's a good news event. All right, next was big jump in ROA. Okay, let's graph this one. So we shade the area that we want, which has the years, the label, and the amounts. Go Insert, Chart, and let's go R charts, and we want columns, and we'll just do stack side by side, and we'll say okay. Here we see the graph that looks just like this one. If we just change the shape, it'll even look the same, right? And it shows us ROA for 2017 versus 18, and visually it's striking. It's a big jump. Again, we would see this information on the numbers, but seeing it graphically is more powerful. And if we're presenting, it's a more easy way for the audience to see what's going on, right? So that's the second one. The third one is this, which is looking at two elements of cash conversion cycle to see how we're doing. All right, for the last one, we will shade the area and insert chart type. And here we see in the recommended charts this clustered bar, which is the grouping, and we'll say okay. And this is the chart that we had generated, right? And it shows us days in inventory versus average collection period. All right, so that's how we do the graphics. The first was pretty straightforward. It was simply shading the revenues and net income and allowing Excel to recommend this line chart. The next was doing the side-by-side bar chart for ROA over the last 2 years. And the last one did 2 years and two measures, and we used this combination graph, this clustered graph.